Hey guys, all muscle. Picked up this E550 just the other day. It's a 2007. It's got the V8 in it. It's a nice car actually. I really like these 211. Mercedes calls these the 211 bodies. I've got a 500 E500 here that my wife's been driving for about 4.5, almost 5 years now, and you know it's a good car. Just on these Mercedes cars, if you look them up and take a look and see in the papers or in the auto traders or wherever you shop for cars, you'll usually notice that they're fairly inexpensive for what they are. You know, I drove this car from Van Nuys, and from where I live, that's about almost 2 hours away, maybe about an hour and 45. And it drove here perfectly. I didn't have any issues. I did have a check engine light, and I'll tell you what that was here in a second. But I wanted to go over some things on these cars. Most of the time, when you buy these cars, and back to what I was saying here a couple seconds ago, that when you usually see these cars, they look, they look nice. They're cheap enough to buy. Excuse me, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't buy these cars. They are very expensive to maintain. It's not something that you can pick up. You know, you can pick them up for the same price as a Toyota Camry. You know, but the difference between driving in a Toyota Camry and driving in this car is night and day, and you can't compare them. But what I will tell you though is, even though you can pick them up for the same price, or sometimes maybe even cheaper than the Toyota Camrys or Nissan Altimas or whatever the hell's out there. I don't buy Japanese cars usually, but in foreign cars, I usually like to buy, in European cars, I usually like to buy the Mercedes over the BMWs. I'm usually an American car kind of guy, but I do like the European cars, and Mercedes is, for me anyway, in my opinion, is the most luxurious car that you can buy on the road. So anyways, back to the Toyota Camry versus driving one of these. Night and day difference, but when you buy one of these, expect to maintain it, and when it wants its maintenance, it's going to have its maintenance. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. So anyways, let me show you this car here in particular. One of the most expensive parts, or systems on this car, I should say, is the Aromatic. They call it the Aromatic ride, or Aromatic suspension, if you will. And what it consists of is these air inflated struts, and this particular unit just had these replaced, and they were actually replaced with, this is a Bilstein unit. It just had this side replaced. I'm sorry. So I will have to replace the passenger side. Also, what they just did, they just put brand new rotors. These are Mercedes factory, I know, because I bought these rotors before, and they come with this silver / primer looking coating. Also, the pads are fresh. I could tell that these are Mercedes, and they're brand new pads. So the car just got serviced with the brand new rotors, brand new pads up front, and they put a brand new air spring in the front. Now this side, when I come outside in the morning after the car is sat, this is how you could tell if the air suspension is going out, or if you have a leak in one of the bags. The side, or one of the sides, or the whole car, if you have all of your bags are bad, or a couple of them are bad, you'll notice that the car will sag and it'll sit real low to the ground. Now this one here has obviously not been replaced. It's an old shock. I could tell it's worn. The other one is like literally been on the car probably for a couple 100 miles, and that's it. So I got lucky with that. I actually did not check that, but I got this car cheap enough. They almost just gave me the keys to this car and told me to take it. I mean, it was that cheap. So I got it fairly cheap. Looking in the back here, the rotors in the back also look brand new. I'm gonna go to the other side. These rotors here, these rotors in the back are fairly new. I don't think they were done at the same time as the fronts, but I could still see the primer coating is still visible. Usually when they're older, you won't be able to see that silver primer coating on these. This little coating here, it'll be just completely covered in brake dust, or if it rusts out or whatnot. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and what I'm going to be doing on this one for today is I'm going to be changing the oil, because I don't know when that was last changed. So the first thing on that is for me usually to change the oil. Now the oil change on these cars is not too expensive, but it is more expensive than your average car. If you can get your oil changed for, let's say, I don't know, $35 or so on an average car, this one is just like right under 100. So, you know, it's a little bit more expensive just for the oil change. So, again, going back to the maintenance thing, the maintenance on these cars is pricey. As you can see, real quick, I have the headlights. They're taped off. I'm going to go ahead and scuff those up with some sandpaper, basically wet sand them, and then I'll come back over them and polish them out. Hopefully I can get them to look really nice. But anyways, this car had a check engine light, and the code on it, let me show you the inside here. Black leather. It's got the Harman Kardon setup, so it had the upgraded stereo system from the factory. Really nice interior, no tears, no rips inside here at all. It's got a little sunshade in the back. You got your air conditioning coming to the back here. And you got navigation, of course. This one has a navigation system. Not all of them did. My 500 does not. Also, you've got heated seats, cooled seats. It's got the push button start. It does connect, like it has the Bluetooth set up to connect your phone and take phone calls in here. It's got the sunroof. This one, these cars were available with the panoramic roof. This one does not have it, which is actually a plus. You probably do not want the panoramic roof. The panoramic roof is very problematic, let's just say the least on that. But it's got the nice sporty exhaust. Actually, this is a sport package. I forgot to mention that. This one has the sport package, so it has the heavier duty drilled brakes up front, and it has the wheels. I believe these wheels were part of the sport package, and they are staggered. These are 265s in the rear, and then up front they're 245s. Actually, the brand new tires on the front, these were brand spanking new. When I picked up the car, I noticed that immediately. Back in the back, they're Michelins. I don't like the fact that these are Hancocks, or Hancocks, or however you want to say that. I don't buy Hancocks. My tire of choice is usually, or tires of choice, I either go Goodyear, Continental, or Michelin. Those are my three tires of choice. I don't buy these types of tires, Hancocks, Nankangs, or Nittos. What else? Yokohamas. I don't particularly care for those. I've ridden on all those tires. I've bought those tires before. I don't like them. My favorite tire for sure is the Michelin, and then Continental and Goodyear. I like both of those for different types of applications. It depends on what it is. Here's my Mustang here. We've got Continentals on that. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing this. I'm gonna do the oil change on it and polish these headlights out. Also, back to what I was saying about the check engine light. This one had a code for a P0. I would open up the hood right now, but I have it kind of taped with like you saw there with the headlights. But anyways, this had a P0015. Also a P0022 and a P0025. Now, there's three codes there, obviously. So when you see that, you know, tend to freak out. You got three different codes. But what that was there's four cam. They call them cam magnets, and they're sensors. Basically, they're magnets. Anyways, that they pulse. When the pulse hits, it opens and closes flow of oil to the camshaft, and they have one on each camshaft. And this particular car has four camshafts on it, so there's four total magnets. I went ahead and replaced all four of them. Also, the valve that's inside, it actually goes inside the let me show you actually what I'm talking about. I'll just come in here and make this easy. There's a valve that that flows oil inside the camshaft, and I replaced those as well. I can come in here and show you that. Hey, where's all those Mercedes parts?
Let's see.
Oh no.
There we go.
There we go. The pile here.
Alright, let's bring all this stuff out here.
See that's it.
Got everything inside. I might make this video a little too long, but it's alright. Got my little AMG cup right there.
AMGs for the winners.
Alright, so these, let's see, magnets are, part number is 272-051-0177, and if you're doing this job and if you have those codes, you'll need these 4 units, and this is what they look like. Look just like this. It's very simple to replace these. Actually, the only hard part is on the driver's side, in which you will have to remove the oil cooler and the power steering reservoir. So when you remove the oil cooler, that's why I decided to do an oil change as well. You get a little splash of coolant or oil that mixes in with each other, and I just didn't particularly care to run the vehicle like that, so I just decided to put fresh oil. Got a new filter here. We'll be using that. The part number on the filter, by the way, 000180-2609. This one here is your cam magnet. So what happens when 12 volts of power comes in through here when commanded by the PCM, this little deal will come out. I don't know if you just saw that move, but that will come out and it'll push on this valve here. So on these valves here, you're going to have, these are 2 of them, you're going to have an exhaust side and you're going to have an intake side. Now, very tricky on these. Well, it's not tricky, you just have to know about it. But when you replace these, the intake side spins around and it comes off just like a normal bolt on the intake side. So this is what it looks like. So you get your socket on here and you spin it off, loosening righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, here's basically what the valve looks like, and if these get gummed up, it'll stick. It won't open up all the way. It won't go all the way down where it needs to be when it basically comes in contact with the magnet. So if you can imagine the magnet's in there, it's going to pop, and then it's going to depress this valve just like that. So magnet gets 12 volts, pops, hits this, and it comes up, and it basically sends oil flow through these passages in a certain fashion. So this is your intake side, and again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey applies on that. On this one, you reverse the order, and that was a big thing. You have to know what you're doing when you're removing these. These come right out. As soon as you replace, as soon as you pull the magnet off, you'll get direct access to these. They're directly behind them. So on this one, this is the exhaust side, and the threads on it are not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. They're lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. So if I said that correctly, but this is the other side, and they are different part numbers and they're different valves. So that's why, if you could see on there on the box, I've written IN for intake and EX for exhaust. So these aren't too spendy. I think they were like 65 or 67 bucks. So I went ahead and popped them in there. Now what is pricey is the camshaft sensors. Now the camshaft sensors, there's also 4 sensors for the camshaft, 1 for each one. So the camshafts on this car are loaded, let me tell you. It's got 4 valves, 1 on each camshaft. It's got 4 sensors, 1 on each camshaft. And then it's also got 4 magnets. So you got a total of 4, 8, 12 parts. You got 12 parts just sensing and basically optimizing the cam. Timing, basically. This all has to do with timing. So your timing is basically, it's variable valves. So that's why all these parts are needed to control all that. So anyways, so here's the exhaust part. Now these are going to be the same for both sides. So you need 2 of these, 272, 050, 0578. And when you go to the intake, it's exactly the same part number, except the 04 changes from, or the part number changes here to an 04 instead of an 05. So you'll need the valves just to be on the safe side. Pop those in there, and then your magnets are the cheapest deal here, which are like 24 bucks a piece, and you can get those for just under $100 for the whole set. And again, back to the actual cam sensor, those are almost $200 a piece. So if you need all 4 of those, or if you want to do all 4 of those just for safe measure and not have to worry about the car for another 100,000 miles or 150,000 miles or whatever, those are 200 bucks a piece. This job will end up costing you just in parts somewhere close to like 1,500 bucks. I'm just throwing that out there, rough estimate. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower, but included in this job, I included the oil change as a part of the deal. There's also an oil cooler gasket that you must replace, and I think I've already tossed out the old one. I'd show it to you, but they gave me when I bought the gasket, they gave me the gasket. There was no part number on it. I'd have to check my receipt, but if you need that, just message me. Anyways, if you're doing any work on these 550s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you know this car, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have anything to add that I might have missed, go ahead and share that. Put that in the comments. Let me know if I missed something, or if maybe that job, you could do it a little differently or whatnot. Let me know. But anyways, I'm gonna get to work on this car. This video went a little long, but hey, it's a nice, beautiful morning in December. We're enjoying the weather out here, and we're gonna be doing a little bit of work. All right, guys, have fun and take care.